Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a helicopter crash landed on top of a building in Midtown Manhattan, not far from Times Square. The New York Fire Department says the pilot was killed. CBS's Mark Liverman is on the scene with the latest.
Smoke poured from the top of the building on 7th Avenue, where the New York City Fire Department says a helicopter made a hard landing and sparked a fire. Hundreds of people inside the 54-story building and several other nearby buildings were evacuated. Emergency crews moved pedestrians away from the street below.
It sounded like a small engine plane at first, and then I just felt the building shake.
Fire trucks lined the block as emergency crews made their way inside. On the street, Governor Andrew Cuomo briefed reporters.
If you're a New Yorker, you have a level of PTSD, right, from 9/11. And I remember that morning all too well.
One question is if the weather, rain and fog, played a role in this crash. The local CBS station isn't flying its news helicopter just because of poor visibility. Emergency officials say most of the damage is contained to the roof. It was not designed for a helicopter landing. Mark Liverman, CBS News, New York.
While some of us are still dealing with a few showers, most of us are finally starting to dry out. Sunshine is returning even for some as well. You'll notice as we take a look at our UVA-wise camera where they are still dealing with a little bit of that rain there. That front still moving through parts of their area. But like I said, most of us starting to dry out. So if you're over down into Whitesburg, you're still dealing with those mostly cloudy skies and it's a little wet over there, but really starting to dry out. Areas really along I-75, that's where you guys are starting to see a little bit more clearing, but you could see that front moved through and now we're finally starting to see some drier conditions and even some of that sunshine we haven't seen in quite some time. So there's those rain showers definitely over into West Virginia and into Virginia as well. Parts of Pike County still dealing with it as well, but it's finally starting to get out of our area. It's nice to say we are finally seeing a rain break here in the mountains. Temperatures, they're a little bit cooler. Some spots, those mid to upper 70s, lower 80s down into the Cumberland Valley. I think they're seeing just a little bit more sunshine this afternoon. Now, if you look at that visibility, looking pretty good, but patchy fog is definitely going to be an issue, especially if you look up into Logan. That's going to be an issue we're going to have to look at a little bit later this evening. Now, for those headlines, though, you'll notice sunshine finally returns. It does look like another cold front moves into the mountains and brings in a little bit of those cooler temperatures. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few short minutes. Steve.
All right, Paige, thank you. Needing people to step up. A local festival is on shaky ground today after what many describe as a simple misunderstanding. WYMT's Will Puckett explains from Breathitt County.
Yeah, it started off as a meeting just to talk about the Honey Festival here in Jackson and Breathitt County and fostering some new and fresh ideas. But it turned into be much more than that. A simple idea of moving things from here to there and so on turned into a whole ruckus on Facebook that many say was never meant to be that way. But maybe some change could be good.
It's really sad because, you know, a little compromise can go a long way.
Mayor Thomas again stresses that there was no ill will meant in the recommendations for the Honey Festival. She says that it's important to the community because it brings in much needed dollars to the small businesses here in Breathitt County and Jackson specifically. In Jackson, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
There will be a meeting at City Hall on Thursday at 5 p.m. for anyone who wants to talk about the future of the Honey Festival. Those in Martin County could see another rate increase in the future. The Public Service Commission is requiring the Water District to hire a new management company. Many fear this will cost customers too much money. When the new company takes over, a 44% rate increase will be implemented on top of the current bill. Now some hope to see only one single manager hired instead of a new company to save money. Well, David Ortiz, the longtime baseball slugger, better known as Big Papi, is in stable condition after he was shot in his native Dominican Republic last night. In surveillance video, you can see a motorcyclist approach Ortiz and the group he was with from behind. The gunman then shoots Ortiz in the back. The bullet went through Ortiz's lower back and out his stomach. Ortiz was rushed into surgery at a local hospital. At last check, he remains in stable condition. His father says the bullet did not hit any major organs. The Supreme Court refused to change laws that limit access to gun silencers. Justices made the decision without any comment or dissent today. The ruling leaves in place a federal law requiring the registration of silencers. A silencer was used in the recent Virginia Beach massacre that left 12 people dead. After that shooting, President Trump suggested he would look into restrictions on gun silencers. The justices agreed with an appeals court ruling that silencers are not a bearable arm, so they do not qualify for constitutional protection. Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear's win in the state's Democratic primary came largely on votes in urban areas. Now he is looking to broaden his appeal in rural communities by campaigning with one of his primary opponents. Chelsea Jones has more from the campaign trail, where Beshear teamed up with Rocky Atkins today.
The Democratic Party has formed a united front against Republican Governor Matt Bevin. Attorney General Andy Beshear and House Minority Leader Rocky Atkins, once adversaries, are now team players.
You know, the issues that we're talking about are important for every family, and so we need your help fighting for every single vote that is out there.
The two took a tour through eastern Kentucky, hoping to gain ground among rural voters. In the Democratic primary for governor, Beshear's lead in Louisville and Lexington helped him secure the nomination. But Atkins had a stronger showing among rural Democrats. Despite their differences in policy, the two hope their joint appearance will defeat a common opponent.
Rocky Atkins and I know this race is bigger than us, and the future of public education, of health care, of good paying jobs, that is all on the line, that none of us survive another 4 years of Matt Bevin.
Many of the areas where Atkins received support are the areas that Governor Matt Bevin lost in the Republican primary. As the two Democrats try to build enthusiasm for the Beshear campaign, Bevin says Beshear's record isn't in line with eastern Kentucky voters.
If you want somebody who's pro-abortion and proudly voted for Hillary Clinton and thinks she would have been a great president, Andy Beshear is your person.
Beshear said after he won the nomination, other Democratic primary candidates called him asking how they could support his campaign. In Rowan County, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
Andy Beshear also announced that he will campaign in Meade County with Adam Edlin. House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler says he has made a deal with the Justice Department to begin providing Congress with some documents from the Mueller report. The documents are related to President Trump's possible obstruction of justice. The House votes tomorrow whether to approve a resolution to go to court to enforce its subpoena of Attorney General William Barr and former White House counsel Don McGahn. The U.S. and Mexico agreed to a deal Friday night that is meant to stop the flow of migrants coming to the U.S. and avoid tariffs being placed on products being imported from Mexico. Mexico agreed to accelerate its National Guard presence on its southern border starting today. The country also agreed to expand a program requiring asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while their claims are processed in the U.S. President Trump had this to say about it.
This is something the U.S. has been trying to get for over 20 years with Mexico. They've never been able to do it. As soon as I put tariffs on the table, it was done. It took 2 days.
CBS News has learned the U.S. and Mexico discussed what's called a safe third country agreement, which would force Central American immigrants to seek asylum in Mexico instead of the U.S. That specific agreement would need to be approved by Mexico's legislature. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Monday afternoon. The Dow closes up today more than 78 points. Straight ahead on First at 4, fire crews are still battling more than 6 wildfires across California. One of them threatened an amusement park.
And sunshine returns Tuesday, but those rain chances return as well pretty quickly. We'll break down the full forecast in just a few short minutes.